Hello everyone and welcome back to another Hobby Link. So today we are on the 5th episode of Kerbanauts. If you didn't see the last episode, I built a 747, so check that out. I'll probably flash it up in the top right corner if I remember. If I don't remember, it will probably be some random point in the video anyway. Right, today, if you haven't already seen the thumbnail, which I have made, so I do know what it is this time, we are landing some probes on Minmus and the Mun. Now, this one rocket, which will be in the description both as a mega file and a Steam file, can land 2 probes. So it lands 1 on Minmus, 1 on the Mun, and can take some people up as well. I say people, some Kerbanauts. It's not that complex of a ship, it's harder to fly, so I recommend, even if you don't have Steam, if you go to the Steam page, if you downloaded it Kerbal Space Ground not on Steam and you use the mega files to download Minecraft, if you're going to download the craft, then I'd recommend going to the Steam page and reading the instructions on the Steam page, which I have written in the description. They are quite detailed, but you might struggle to fly it if you don't. Now, one thing I need to say to you is, if you're flying this aeroplane, when you download it, I say aeroplane, if you're flying this rocket, when you download it, make sure to add batteries to the probes. Now, the probes don't have batteries at the moment, which means the probe cores are the only things that give them power, and that power is not enough to do any science. So if you want to use it for science, do add more batteries, but otherwise that's fine. Now, the coolest thing I think about this rocket is the fact that it can be reconfigured. So it starts off as a long thing with the probes in the center, but then you undock them and the probe flies out and then you reconnect. Now, I will talk you through the stages of flying, just because if you download it, it might be harder to fly if you don't know what's going on, because it is quite complex. It's not like some of my other rockets, as this is my first proper flight on this series that is worth anything. Trying to think what we did last time. Last time we actually built a rocket, we just went up. That's it, up. So the first video must have been, I'm trying to remember now, first video must have been just flying up and then down. Oh no, first video was the Soyuz, yeah, or the not Soyuz, the Sputnik. So Sputnik was first, then there was, second one was a Mercury style rocket that just got the Kerbanaut into space. Then there was the Soyuz rocket which got the Kerbanaut into orbit. And then there was the 747, which wasn't really anything to do. I was just a bit bored, so I built the 747. But anyway, oh by the way, in the 747 episode, I know I said it was built by Hazardish. It wasn't built by Hazardish. He's built the Concorde before. It was built by somebody called something, can't remember. Check out that video's description if you want to find out who made it. It will also probably pop up in the top right corner of that video as well, but not in this video, because this video is different and this is a completely original idea, and that is probably why it looks so bad. Now, yeah, that's basically, I've used up all I needed to say at the moment. I'm just waiting until the actual flight happens. I've got an itchy ear, that's why I'm, there we go. Right, so yeah, let's look at the footage. There's a skipper engine. Yeah, it's good, it works well. I used it. That's it. Oh, here I put vectors in because why not? They have a huge gimbal range and there are no fins on this rocket, and it's got boosters, side boosters, so they needed a lot of gimbal range to be able to steer the actual rocket. Right, you might need braking, I think you need braking ground DLC to fly this, because I'm pretty sure, oh wait a minute, it might be the making history pack, something, a lot of those parts don't come with the base game. So I've put Breaking Ground requirements on Steam. It might not have any Breaking Ground stuff on it, but if you don't have it, then I don't know, don't necessarily get it because you might not be able to fly it. But yeah, I can't say it looks the best as a rocket. In fact, it looks horrible, but it looks nicer when the fairings are gone and on its way home. Right, this is called the Martian 1, by the way, so if you don't like using links and you want to just search it up on Steam, it's just called the Martian 1. Actually, yeah, just called Martian 1. I couldn't spell Martian, so if it's wrong, I'm sorry. I don't know how to spell it. And here I am copying the launch escape tower from my Mercury rocket, because this command pod on this rocket is also too small for the normal one, so I reconfigured the Mercury launch escape tower to fit this one. So I don't know if I tested it out. I don't think I tested it out in this part of the build, but there's a few changes that you'll see when we launch. Number one, launch escape tower has 6 engines on it rather than 4. Oh, also you can see I added an SRB to the launch escape tower, and that was because, as you can see in the Mercury one, it didn't fall off properly, did it? So that was to sort that out. Right, let me just think for a second. Oh, we're launching. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. I think we might have launched on your screen. My screen seems a little bit stuck on the launch pad. Give me a second. Yeah. Alright, so I'm back and the rocket's taken off for me now. That was weird. It like froze on the same screen, so I could just see us sitting on the launch pad, but I could hear the rocket taking off, so I was like, what's going on? Now, if you download this if you download this rocket, throttle the engines down to about I'm trying to think, like a 1/6 of their power, the vector engines, because the fuel tank for the vector engines is about a 1/6 of the size of the SRBs, and the SRBs, there's no method of steering without the vector engines, so you don't want the vector engines to run out of fuel first. So throttle them right down and wait for and let the SRBs lift the rocket. Now that does mean the rocket flies very slowly, but you gotta live with that. I'm sorry about that. I could have changed it, but it probably wouldn't have flown as well. There's loads more Delta V in this craft than is needed, which is interesting. Yeah, alright, what's happening now? So we're just getting a nice high apparatus. I think it was 105 kilometers. I can't see it on here, something like that. When I did it, I remember that. Now I had a problem. This is my 5th flight of this rocket, and that's because the quick save option is something I am rubbish at doing, and on this flight you'll see me over excessively quick saving, and that's because I'm not happy. I don't want to fly again. There goes the launch escape tower. As you can see, it actually pulled off that time, which was quite nice rather than just blowing up. Right, what's happening now? So here we go. We're just circularizing our orbit, and there is some dishes that are new that weren't in the build. Those dishes are paramount to the work of this craft. Now, the big yellow one, which is just a comms dish, doesn't mean anything really. You don't need to use it. Like, it doesn't need to be there, but it looks nice. The solar panels don't really need to be there either, but it's nice to have them just so we can use like SAS and things. And but the really important one is the relay dish, which is on the other side of the comms dish, and you'll see it there. It's a small one. And the reason that's paramount is when this craft, the main craft, orbits Minmus, and the probe tries to land on Minmus, the probe can barely ever land on Minmus, where it can still connect to KSC. So therefore you lose probe control, it just crashes into Minmus. But the probe with this now uses its communication dish, which you'll see later, which is one of the flat ones that folds out. It lands on Minmus, and then it uses the orbiting spacecraft as a relay. And as you'll see on a very quick shot of the map screen, when I've landed on Minmus, you'll see like an L shape with the green lines, and that means it's bouncing off the main craft to reach Kerbin. So that is paramount, and that is in the downloadable craft, don't worry, but it just wasn't in the build, so I thought I'd explain that. Now we're on our way to the Mun. Yeah. Now, I don't know. Probably would have been better if I could get the Kerbals down as well. So it can carry Kerbals into space, obviously, but they can't land. They can just orbit the two celestial bodies. Are they celestial bodies? The two moons. They can just orbit them, and however, so only the probes can land, which is a bit of a shame, but it's all right. Now here we go, bringing our orbit nice and close into the Mun. Now on the Mun, I got something. Basically, Mun orbits can be very glitchy sometimes, where they get very flashy and it gets really annoying. But on this time, I got it on Minmus. You might be able to see it, but it means that the orbit flickers and you can't place down like a maneuver node on the orbit because the orbit's not necessarily there. It's like there, gone, there, gone, there, gone, and it's really hard to get a stable orbit. And if anyone else is having this problem, please tell me. Hopefully they'll bug fix it. Maybe it'll be in the next update, which is coming out on Tuesday, by the way. I'm pretty sure, if it comes out on time. I think Tuesday is July the 1st. I made that up, but just thinking. Are there 31 days in? No, there's not. Okay. 5 days from now. So, yeah, Tuesday. Fair enough. Right, here we go. Reconfiguring the aircraft. Aircraft. Stop saying aircraft. There we go. What you do is you turn the probe 90 degrees to the rest of the craft, and when you decouple that attacher, it automatically means that the probe like gets pushed away because of Newton's something law. Maybe first or third. There we go. Oh no, third, I think. Yeah, Newton's third law, pretty sure. So here we go, descending around the Mun. Now they've both got about 1,500 meters per second of delta V, which is more than enough. So if you add extra batteries to them and you actually want to do some science, there is a scanning arm on them, and so they can do quite long hops because they've got loads of fuel. So if you land somewhere where there's nothing to scan, you can fly about trying to land somewhere with a scan. At the moment they don't have batteries on enough that I can use the scanning arm, so I don't bother. On the Minmus one, I'm pretty sure I like bounce it a bit to get a nicer view because it lands in a really dull area. But the Mun one's fine. Now here we go, coming in, and the probes look alright. There's a flat dish I was talking about at the side, at the right hand side. Yeah, they look alright. I don't know if I love them, but my idea was these probes were going to land, and then I'd land next to the probe, so it would be like a marker for where I should land. Number one, I'm rubbish at playing KSP, so that's going to be very difficult for me to land on that probe. Number two, the probes weren't parked in the best places, to be honest. I think if I fly to Minmus, I will land on the Minmus flats, whereas the Minmus probe does not land on the Minmus flats. And if I fly to the Mun, I don't know, but I won't land on the slope like I did with the probe, because my rocket will tip over. Right, here we are. Soon we will be burning out of the orbit of the Mun, so then we can get ready to do our Minmus burn. There we go, we're now in orbit of Kerbin, and then don't bring your orbit too close to Kerbin, because otherwise you're wasting tons of fuel. So just burn so you just escape the Mun, and that's all the burning you need to do to get yourself out. Then wait till you get out of the you escape the Mun, so you get out of the thingy, can't remember the word for it, and then create a maneuver node to get an encounter with Minmus. Now I have to give a lot of credit to Matt Lown for a lot of my techniques, like the docking technique, which he, well, kind of patented, I guess. He calls it the lazy docking technique, which is targeting the docking ports basically, and I use that in this creation. And the other one was, oh, there was something else I kind of copied ish. I don't know, I used it. I think it was oh yeah, he says when you fly and so first you just want to get an encounter with Minmus. That's fine, get an encounter with Minmus. There's the glitchy orbit, by the way. You can see it flashing. It's flashing on and off, and I can't do anything about it, so I have to create a stable one by just burning in a direction. I don't know how to fix it, sorry about that. But anyway, Matland says if you burn to where you've got an encounter with the Mun, then halfway on your journey to the Mun, Minmus, I'm talking about Minmus, on exactly halfway, create a maneuver node, and then use the radial in and out. Is that right? Yeah. Wait, radial in and out, or normal and anti-normal? Normal and anti-normal. Use your anti-normal and normal bits on the maneuver node to edit your orbit so it's then I can't remember what it's called, to be honest, but it's basically an equatorial orbit. That might be the one. Yep, around the center of Minmus. Now my orbit was a bit wonky, I have to admit, but here we go, coming in round to Minmus. Yeah, I think. Oh yeah, there was a problem. This flight isn't realistic. I bet you can do it better than me. The Kerbanauts were up there for 50 days or something, because I wasn't that worried about making it realistic, so I was just trying to get a burn. But that didn't mean there was some like, I did like 5 orbits of the Earth before I reached Minmus. I didn't realise I was going to be doing 5 orbits of the Earth, but that was more than 5 days because of the orbit path I was on. So I don't know, I guess it's slightly unrealistic. I guess in real life the whole journey would probably take like, I don't know, less than a month probably, but like 3 weeks. I don't know, I'm making stuff up. There we go, quick saving, as you can see, and then get ready to drop the next probe. Here we go, decouple, decouple, and then turn the probe 90 degrees, use the decoupler to fire it out the way, which I'm doing here. There we go, now it's floating away, and then reconnect the 2 parts of the ship. This is where it looks alright. There we go, looks like a normal ship now, rather than looking like a weird thing, I guess. Weird thing is a good thing. Yeah, good. Just put thing in front of all your words. Anyway, then I need to bring the probe down so it lands on Minmus, which is quite obvious. Be pretty rubbish otherwise. Yeah. Right, what else is left? There we go, coming in to Minmus. Now it looks like I'm entering quite fast. Don't enter as fast as it looks, because this is 4 times sped up, I'm pretty sure. I should know, I literally just edited it, but I'm fairly sure it's 4 times sped up. So there we go, burning, retrograde to all the way down, and then I land, and then there's a lot of hopping coming up, so get ready for that. And there we go, number 1 hop, I'm pretty sure I hop again, I land, do like a cool like zoom out thing, and then I do another hop. So look forward to that, I guess. Yeah, it's really hard to see anything going on in the little preview screen thing. It's like, what's happening? It's also running at like 1 frame a second. Yep, my computer's not actually meant to be able to run my editing software, so that's why. But it does, it runs it fine, it renders it fine, and hopefully you guys get smooth videos. I'm pretty sure I do check. And when I say I'm pretty sure, I do check, but I don't know whether you get smooth videos. Right, but anyway, there we go. That's our probe all packed up. You're like, it's done, and then I'm like, no, it's not, and just take off again. So now we're going, and by the end you get a lovely view of the Minmus Hills, which is in fact on the thumbnail I made. Yeah, the lovely hills behind the probe. Don't know if you can see them very well on the thumbnail, because I'm pretty sure I like split the thumbnail in half. I was actually originally aiming to land by one of the surface features that you can scan with the scanning arm, but then I realised the scanning arm doesn't have any battery anyway, so I went for the view rather than the functionality of the probe. But you guys can easily get there. I had loads of fuel left in the probe, and there's plenty of fuel left in the rocket as well. If you do run out of fuel in the main engine before you reach Minmus because you did something wrong, don't worry, you've still got plenty of delta V left. So number 1, if you have just like reached Minmus, and let's say your orbit isn't circularized but you want to circularize it, and you've run out of fuel, and it says you've run out of fuel, what you need to do is right click one of the tanks below the command pod, because they'll still be full of fuel. And then click Alt and right click on the tank near the engine, and then like transfer the fuel down into that. Now that only needs to be done while you have the probe in the middle. If you survive with all the fuel left in it, and then you move the probe out the middle, when they two connect, cross feeding will happen, and you will no longer need to move any fuel. It will be done automatically. So hopefully you guys can just do what I did, but you might need to move the fuel. And number 2, there's over 600 meters per second of RCS within the craft, as well as like 2 Kerbals, so you've got an extra 1800 meters per second of delta V left if you want. So just use that if you get stuck. Admittedly, on one of my flights I was trying to get my Kerbals home because it was a failed flight, but then it wouldn't let me revert, and I had to use RCS to get me home because I ran out of fuel. So right, it should be coming in soon. There we go, we're doing a burn to get our orbit nice and small. I think we're there around our periapsis. We want to get it low around Kerbin. There we go, and then we're going to draw it in, circularize around Kerbin, and then we're going to draw it in even further and make sure that we are going to hit the atmosphere. If you have limited fuel, you only need to get to about, I don't know, I got to 30,000 feet. I don't know what the limit is, but at one point, as soon as you hit the atmosphere, you'll start doing something called aero braking. So you can go like multiple orbits, eventually you'll slow down. So just make sure your periapsis is within the atmosphere. It doesn't need to be colliding with Kerbin. If it's within like 50,000 feet, then you'll automatically eventually land. It might take a few orbits, but that's called aero braking. But I had plenty of fuel, so I'm just gonna get round to the maneuver node. I wanted to land in the sea, number 1 for realism, and also because it was on the light side of the planet, which I know is better for videos because YouTube makes things dark apparently. I say apparently, I don't actually know. I've never seen that myself, but you guys can tell me. There we go. We are aimed at the sea. And I'm going to close away all the solar panels. Not needed. Jeb's going to go on one final little float around in space, EVA, and then we are going to disconnect the command pod. Oh, Bob's, or is it Bill? Bill or Bob is going next. I think it's Bill. I think the engineer's on board, yeah, not scientists. And then we're coming in, deploy the command pod, flip it round, point it retrograde, and then just wait, I guess, and it will hit the atmosphere. The heat shield has enough blade around it so it won't destroy. Like, I put it through some tough times and it will not destroy. I didn't shave any ablator, so it's completely fireproof. Now you can turn the parachutes down if you want to. I did here. You don't need to. There we go, parachutes out and waiting for a nice little touchdown in the ocean. Now the final bit of this video is literally me just looking for a thumbnail. So guys, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. Check out my Patreon, check out my Discord, and download the craft if you feel like it. Yeah, I hope you enjoy, and look out for the next Kerbanauts video. I'm sorry this one was so late, but I've been working on this craft for so long. So hopefully we'll be ready to go soon. So see you guys in the next video. There we go, that's Mun. Goodbye.